Checking all audio feeds. Go ahead and talk for me.
Talking.
Okay, I've got you captured. Everyone's recording. And here we go. All right, Cooper. Let's just look at
All
this.
right.
Like, matchup 4 is over. And it was an interesting week. Like, first off, do you remember who you predicted was going to win
What, last week?
last week?
Me. Me.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay, so
That never happened.
besides you and and yeah, I did beat you.
The kid who lost terribly, like 30, like what, 130 points or something? 180 points, something like that.
Yeah, so the difference between I had predicted that Shane was gonna beat Blue because I've,
Yeah.
I've been watching how Blue had been playing, and I had no faith that he was gonna take that over. Well, you know
He did.
he did at 140 points. Kudos to Blue for taking that win, and then we both thought the kid was gonna take that victory. Didn't happen.
Never happened.
240-point difference. That's a lot, especially with how well his team has been performing. For him to lose by 240 was probably the lowest week he's had in the entire 4 weeks so far, the first month. So that was shocking, really shocking. And then we had you and Mirith. I don't know what to say to that score. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
By a lot.
359-point difference.
By a lot.
That is the biggest difference that we have seen so far in the first month of Fantasy Breakdown. Like, you're not only did you come out swinging, you got almost 1,000 points.
I
And
was I was rooting I was rooting to break 1K, to be honest. I
for
was hoping.
986. Bryce Harper had what, 124 points for you?
I think so. No, Bryce Harper was 122, I think.
122. So still
I think.
over
It was
100
close.
over 120
Uh
points. Like,
Cal Raleigh had 137 points last week.
ooh, Raleigh had 137.
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay, so we'll come back to
Although they
that.
were playing against the Reds and against the Reds and the Rockies, two
Mm,
not too great of teams, but which I think helped.
yeah, probably. I mean, the Reds have their moments, but for you to get almost 1,000 points, that was just insane. And then I love this part: a 4-point difference. We both bet on Ethan. We both predicted he's going to take that win. It went to
He
Rose.
lost.
Went to
Yeah.
Rose. 4-point
Yeah.
difference. That's just crazy. Like, now there's no one's undefeated. Nobody is undefeated right now, which is nice because now it's everyone has a loss under their belts. But for Rose to come back, and he had a couple 200-point days, and then he fell behind. I thought Ethan was going to have it, but on Friday he wasn't. On Friday he was in front, completely in front when Rose had that 67-point day. But he had a 230-point day on Saturday and 130 points on Sunday. And Ethan didn't have it in him. He did not have the point total to come back and catch up, just barely. And I looked at Ethan's his bench pool. He had 46 points on both Saturday and Sunday that he could have flopped in to make a difference. That didn't happen. So
I don't think it really would have made a
you
difference,
don't think
though.
so?
Not like that, because if you look at it and he has to move players in, it may have been 40 points that he was getting, but that he lost out on, or 80 points that he lost out on, but those that could have moved over would have replaced whatever points he got.
That's true.
That's the issue.
So it was a
And
gamble.
according to my math, he only missed out on 15 points, but still enough to win,
Yeah.
but not enough to really make a difference.
So I mean, that's just crazy how close this can get and how far this can get.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yikes.
That's how it's designed, though.
Right? But I'll take
Yeah,
that.
for instance, if you pull up that and you pull in April 21st
Mm-hmm.
on it, he had the center fielder was 0 points, so Mike Trout didn't get anything. He had 5 points on Muncy for third base, but if you look at Matt Chapman on it, it's 10 points. Right? So if you go back through on the days you're talking about, what were the days you're talking about again?
So let's just look at the 20th.
Okay. Yeah. So the 20th, Jonah Heim was benched, so that didn't really matter. So we got Julio was benched for center field, and that was 12 points. 11 points he missed out on. Muncy had 5 points at third base, but it would have been a wash. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Yoshida for left field or designated hitter, he would have lost points if you would have put it at left field.
He would have gained points because he had
would have gained
Conforto.
points.
Rose had Conforto with 2 points, so Yoshida
Right.
would have earned him more. It would have been almost a wash at DH. But that's Rose.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong. You're talking about Ethan. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm looking
scroll
at the
down to
wrong one.
Ethan. Like Xander Bogaerts, shortstop, second baseman. He earned 13 points on the bench, and his second baseman was Marcus Semien with 7, and his shortstop Corey Seager with 3. So he could have earned in 10 more points or 6 more points there, just right there with having Bogarts in. He would have earned enough points to take that back from Rose.
Barely. Well, I mean, if you don't really think, you're not really barely. Just off that one day would have changed it.
Yeah, but I mean that's just how like
But it's
nitty gritty.
also hard to see though, because if you really look at the matchups that are going against, you're like, oh, okay, Kansas City for third base, right? So
Mhm.
Gunnar Henderson for that. You're like, okay, Boston's a better team than Kansas City is, so I'm gonna leave in, Henderson. This is how I would see it, right?
mean
So you leave in
Baltimore?
Henderson. What?
You mean
What
Baltimore?
was it? No, oh, sorry, yeah. So no, he's going against Kansas City.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, Gunnar Henderson went against Kansas City and only got 7 points that day. But if you look at Hayes, who was against Boston, which Boston's all around a better team,
Mhm.
it's still 11. So if you're thinking about like stats wise of who is the better matchup, it would not have worked. So I can understand why that was placed that way.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just looking at like Rose's bench. Put Max Muncy in on the bench, who plays third base for the Dodgers against the Mets. Now I'm surprised to see that the Mets actually hold their own pretty good against the Dodgers, and they took that game by 4-6. So that was a pretty close game that day, just all around. The biggest difference in points, I think, all around the total league was the Milwaukee Brewers beating the Cardinals 12-5. That was a huge difference in what I have seen Milwaukee be able to produce and comfortability level of putting their Milwaukee players in over Cardinal players. I've got to reassess that.
Right.
And just scrolling down a little bit, seeing Nestor Cortez. Yankees lost to Toronto, to the Devil Rays. The Devil Rays. 2-0. So pretty close game. Cortez still got 46 points even only allowing 2 runs in and getting the loss.
Right,
So
but you have to realize too. You're talking about strikeouts here. So you're talking like strikeouts or errors or anything like that. And if you think about it, Boston overall is still a better team.
yeah, that's true.
Or sorry, Baltimore. Yeah, Boston's overall still a better team. So I wouldn't have put him in there. It made sense to me, like when I'm looking at this for that day for the 20th. I wouldn't have put him in there against Boston. I would have left it the way it is. But that's if I'm paying attention to stats and not paying attention to what they're producing.
Yeah, that's where my view comes in, is looking at like the different trends of different teams and who I want to put in, who do I not want to put in, this and that, and kind of gauging from there. I don't know if you see this or not, but if you tab over to the Week 4 matchup, which
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy, your bench totals plus your raw score totals from your active players, you hit 1,214 points last week.
yeah, but that's between bench though. Like,
I know,
that doesn't
but
matter.
still, like bench and your raw player totals, you were 1,214 points. The next closest person to you was Rose with 1,074, and then Ethan
Yeah.
at 1,054,
Yeah, I see that.
and I had 1,019. So like, yikes! You just come out swinging, smoking everybody.
I'm already coming out swinging, and how half the players played.
Yeah, I
today.
know. I'm just you're. I don't know if I want to believe these predictions now, because it says you're going to
No.
get 13 wins and you have 10 losses. And
like I've said, every single time we've discussed this so far this year, that predictions don't mean jack,
yeah,
because
uh,
predictions are only there to say that, oh, there's a possibility of it happening.
mm-hmm.
It does not mean it's going to happen, because it's impossible to predict shit like this.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, your low day where you had like no players playing last week, you had 17 points. Blue had 3 points because he had no players playing that day, literally. So just
This is week 5, right?
that was week 4.
This is week 5. Okay.
Yeah, we're
week
in
5,
week 5.
Week 5 has me almost 100 points behind.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm going to be like 200 points behind. So there's that.
You think Ethan's going to beat you by 200 points?
Roughly, yeah.
All right. So let me let me type that out right now. Let me write that up. So you think Ethan's going to win?
Yes.
Okay. And then who? Now, without looking at the prediction page, who else do you think is going to win?
Considering the kid is even facing somebody really this week, he's a bot. So I'll pick him.
You're going to go with him right away?
No offense to Shane, but yes, he's a bot this week. So
yeah.
So
he's not playing. So
no, he's just letting it do whatever it's going to do, and he's only got 20 points so far. As he's sitting there with, what are we at? What's he at? Like almost 200 at this point, day 1. Yeah, 156 day 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna smoke him. He's gonna have it. And then, yeah, we think the kid's gonna walk away with it, like easily, hands down.
There should be. I would be very surprised if that's actually not the case, though, that he doesn't walk away with it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have your prediction for Ethan and for the kid. Now, who do you think is going to win the other matchups?
You most likely, and then
Rose or Blue? Who do you think is going to win that one?
Tight. It's gonna be tight.
I know.
Who pays attention to their stuff more?
Rose.
And then it's gonna be her.
You're gonna take Rose
or him, whoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll take Rose, and then you'll take you also say it's gonna be me over Mirith.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean,
well, I destroy. I was over 300 points over on that one last week.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Okay, so we both are in agreement on every matchup for this week. We believe Ethan's gonna win. We believe
That's a
Chris.
first.
Yeah, we believe.
Fully agreeing on anything. Yeah,
I
that's a
know.
first.
And we believe the kid's gonna win. That Rose is gonna win. That I'm gonna win. It's interesting that we both view it that way. We'll see what happens. But I mean, honestly, the day by day trends would showcase that you and I have huge potential for really solid days, and everyone else is average days. Our average per day, like my average per day in week 4 was 131 points. Your average per day was 141 points, and everyone else was around 100. Like Ethan had 119, Rose had 119, Blue was at 90, Mirth was at 90, Shane was at 70, and then the kid was at 97. So just the average points per day would actually place Ethan above you, or you above Ethan if you played the same rate. Technically. But that's if you have the same repeated score every day.
Right, but that's also as long as Hunter Brown does not give up 50 more points in one day. And if it ever happens again, he's going to be I'm dropping him. He's done.
I dropped Whitlock because his average was 20 points a day. My other pitchers are averaging 35 to 40. I can't have him in rotation if he's only giving me 20 points an outing.
No, absolutely not.
It's not conducive for my strategy.
Well, that's why I dropped what's the guy's Luke Rayleigh also, but then he started producing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that was stupid.
Hey, you have to make a decision on are they gonna benefit you now or in the long run, and we don't know if Rayleigh's going to continue to perform that way. We just don't.
Well, that's like with Jared Kelnick. He is officially back to what he was doing last year. He was hitting over 400 basically for the first like 18 games, over like 380 to 420 per game basically. And if I remember right, he is now at like hitting like 200 for the past 7 games.
What is his whiff rate?
Oh, let me look. Actually, that's a good question.
Because Kelnick, right now, he has only 58 points on the season. And his batting average right now is a
326.
A 392 with a 263 the last 7 days.
That's not including today, though. He's at 326 this year.
That's including today.
Is it? Then why? But then the baseball reference is wrong.
Yeah. That doesn't update till tomorrow morning at 9 in the morning.
He is at 64.3% against the sweeper and 45.2% against the slider.
Good
and
Lord.
That was at the beginning of the year.
The sweeping curve?
Now he's at 26.9% against the sweeper and 33% against the slider. So his swing and miss rate's insane.
Well, I mean, he got on base today, but
what did he do? Get walked?
I don't know. I don't know, cause
like he's just gonna get walked. Like that's all he ever does is get walked, and that's how he gets the majority of his thing. It just was ridiculous because last year he showed so much potential when they were in Wrigley last year against the Cubs, where he hit like a 455-foot home run.
Oh, yeah, he smacked it out of the park.
Barry Bonds is the only player to ever hit that far up until that point.
Yeah.
And he almost beat Barry Bonds' record. And then he fell off a cliff, basically, the next series. And so that's what's going to happen, is that he was batting almost 400, and now he's batting 320. Now he's batting lower than that.
That's.
It's stats, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to level it out regardless of how good you play at the beginning. because it's a per year basis, not per game basis that they keep track of.
Yeah, I mean you're correct. It is a it's everyone has their ups, everyone has their downs in baseball, and when it comes to fantasy, we want those people that are going to maintain their ups, so we can have those awesome weeks, and so we can see who's doing really good and who's just smoking everybody or who's lagging behind.
But that is Jared Kelnick's current stats. It gives literally everything from batting average, whiff rate, on base percentage, slugging, how many home runs, how fast how many often they chase, all of that. So if you look at that picture and you are sitting here and you're looking at the K rate, he is in the 11th percentile at 31.4%. Which that's the percentage of it, which is not bad, right? It's actually no, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
My bad. He's 11% of top 11% of players who strike out. My bad. I'm reading it wrong. But his sweet spot percentage is the top 99% of players who actually swing correctly. But his slugging is not good. His extra base hits are not good. And so by him sitting here at what is it? 326 for the year, yeah, it's not that great.
No.
Honestly. And so he's going to start dipping instead of what he's supposed to be doing, causing those that drafted him this year to have major issues.
What's really crazy is he was out of the lineup for today. He was not supposed to start. And then they brought him in, and then he got on base. And he got on base I can't tell how he got on base. I'm still trying to pull that up and really dig into that. But he's a left-handed hitter, and they took him out because the left-handed pitcher was up to bat. Normally, left-handed pitchers are amazing to be hit by left-handed batters. Why they pulled him out? I don't know.
Because he does terrible against lefties. He cannot hit a lefty to save his life.
Gotcha. Okay. So
he's never been able to hit a lefty. But as soon as he goes against a righty, he does well enough at it.
Just got to keep an eye on those matches this week and see how everyone's doing then. And that'll tell us a better story. I have a feeling that's what happened with your explosion, was you had a lot of good contact hitters that were constantly up against their preferred match.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're going to be able to replicate that again this week.
That's how I look at it. As I look at what their stats are, and then I look at lefty versus righty against them, or vice versa, right? Lefty on lefty, righty on righty. And that's the best way to kind of gauge it, but it's never perfect.
No. I mean, let's just look at your top three, or our top three players from every team last week. So for me, I had Nico Horner at 95 points, Freeman with 75 points, and then Tanner Houck with 70. The kid had C. Walker with 78, Rishman with 65, and then Soto with 57. So right there, his average player's point value was in the 60s. So that's where that's going to come into play. It's like he can't even have average top or above average top three, which is why he had 670 points. But then you look at Shane. It just the CPU playing the game right now. We have a computer contender. Marte had 84, Diaz had 62, and then Lindor had 54. Whereas Blue, Corey had 92 points with Nola, 74 with Realmuto, and 71 with Arraez. So right there, just with the amount of people he had top three, I would imagine he had other players pretty close throughout the week as well. Holding on to those point values, Nola not only added to, but brought him that next level to where he can compete with us again. Like, even if we put Blue against Mirath for a rematch, he would have taken Mirath by 2 points this week, which is a pretty close matchup. But I think with Blue paying attention again, he's going to show more oomph in the matches and get more favorable plays and more favorable picks rather than just sitting at that 5 wins and 18 loss prediction that he's currently sitting at, because he has the potential to win. He just has to show the accuracy with the management of the team.
Yeah, but it's again, that's predictions.
Yes, I know. So let's tail over to your match against Mirath. So your top two players, Cal Raleigh, Bryce Harper. 107 and 104 points.
Yep.
Trey Turner at 83. Okay, so that's your top three. Your top three players earned you almost 300 points.
About a third of what I had.
Even if you take those three out, you would still have 687 points, and you would still win the game by 56 points for that match. That's insane.
And that's after dropping Aaron Judge.
Yeah, well, Judge was terrible this week. I don't know if you saw his entire stat line for the whole week, but he was not doing good.
I wanted to trade Judge away, but I couldn't because it said he had to. Nobody would take him for some reason.
So Aaron Judge, this last week, he on the 17th got 2 points. On the 19th, he got 7. On the 20th, he lost 4. On the 21st, which was Saturday, he gained 1 point. And then today, he lost 2 points. That's his last 5 plate appearances. On the 16th, he flatlined at 0. He had 2 strikeouts, no fantasy points, nothing. On the 15th, when I believe you dropped him, you dropped him to the 16th. You dropped him to 16th. On the 15th, he cost you 2 points sitting on your bench.
No, I dropped him as soon as I saw him do that.
Oh, did you?
So technically, I dropped him on the 16th or whatever date the day before.
Yeah, like he had a really hot day on the 6th at 20 points earned, and then 13 on the 14th. But every other day, he has not broken double digits. He's had several negative days. He's all about swinging for the fences and trying to get that home run, but that's not what baseball is about. But that's what Judge's baseball is about. So
that's what we call streaky.
Yeah. That would attribute to you getting really good days as you were trading in players who were more about playing the game, advancing the ball, advancing the base, and keeping things rolling. Now, Meredith didn't have that great of a week. Torkelson had 80 points, Naylor had 76, and then Bush had 53. So her top 3 yielded her 200 points, which is a whole 100 points behind your top 3. So I can see where the difference came in that matchup. You had a lot stronger of a week. We're going to see if you can replicate that again this week.
I just got to keep moving people. Well, actually, it's going to be difficult because Bryce Harper is not playing for a couple days.
Really?
He is out on paternity leave.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so he is not coming back for 4 days, 3 days? Today was his first. Today was day 1.
So keep an eye on him then.
Yeah, as soon as I see him available, he's going back in. Like I'm not hesitating. Mm-hmm. He's getting put back in.
And then so let's look at Rose versus Ethan's matchup. So Rose's top 3. Gray had 78, Mountcastle had 75, and then Guerrero had 65.
Right.
So he had an 80-point person, a 75, and a 65. So he had roughly, 220 points amongst his top 3. When we look at Ethan's top 3, Semien at 76, Henderson at 72, and Perez at 67. Almost a wash for the top 3 players. I can see why they were neck and neck this week. Totally like bat for bat, pitch for pitch the entire way. I was rooting for Rose to take that from Ethan so that we could see that it was not going to be a one-sided match. That was my thing to look at.
And it didn't seem like a one-sided match either to begin with.
Yeah. So just in comparison to all these really good players this last week and then all these negative players this current week, it's going to be interesting to see how stuff lines up and how stuff just plays forward. So, like, our current standings right now, I am the number 1 player for points fielded, or points for. Ethan's number 2. You're number 4. Rose is number 3. Followed by Mirith at 5. The kid at 6th. Corey at 7th. And then Shane sitting in 8th. Just not enough.
You're talking about
fielded.
This week, or are you talking about
the cumulative of the entire season? Looking at like total stats.
Yeah. Okay.
Just last week, just last week's stat differences, I fielded 924 points. The kid, he had 676 points. So, all in all, like the pitching matchup for the last couple of weeks has been pretty tight. So, just last week, my pitching staff gave me 54 Ks. Yours gave 83. Corey's gave 58. Miris gave 49. Ethan gave 52. The kid gave 56. Shane only had 32 scored. And Rose gave 61. So you had the most strikeouts last week recorded by your pitchers. The most strikeouts. And you had 26 walks. So you had the most strikeouts, the most walks. The fewest amount of walks would have to go to Ethan and Shane, not really giving up a lot of walks with their pitchers. But the most earned runs was given up by Mirith, 32. You and Corey gave 23. Kid gave up 20. I gave up 18. Shane 16 and Rose 15. So pretty tight pitching for everybody last week. And then for hits, I had 52. You had 62. Corey had 46, Mirth had 45, Ethan had 52, the kid had 62, Shane had 57, and Rose had 64. The most runs last week had to go to you, 36 runs with 40 runs batted in. I had 29 runs with 22 runs batted in. Corey had 33 with 21. Mirth had 22. Okay, Mirth earned 22 runs with some of her players, but they batted in 36 RBIs. That's pretty dang good by bringing in 36 runs. So, like, her players are more swinging to advance the ball instead of just scoring their people, which that's pretty good. And the kid, 31 runs, 23 RBIs, so less runs batted in, more about scoring the person more about scoring themselves. Shane 27 and 25, Rose 24 and 25. So everyone's pretty tight there. The biggest difference would have to be Mirith getting more RBIs, and then you those 40 RBIs with the 36 runs. So definitely cumulative right there. The best defense would have to be me and Rose. Over 200 putouts, the two of us separate, and then everyone else under the 200 line. Corey, the kid, had 133 putouts, so his defense not putting as much effort in compared to everyone else. And then the assists, I had the most assisted outs the entire week. Right behind me was Rose, and then Ethan at 69. I'm all the way at the bottom of the overview page.
Yeah, I see it. I was just navigating around to it.
All in all, some stats, some pretty interesting things to see that the fielding, for me is better than my own run production.
It's funny too because if you look at the pitching performance, I had less than everybody else for plate attempts or for plate appearances,
no,
right?
That's points against
or
you.
Is that points against? Okay,
yeah.
For pitching, meaning mine is a lot better than I ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah, your points against literally just means that you've had less points scored against you than you've scored for yourself. Which I'm going to be working on how to... Yeah, like you're number one in the league right now for the amount of points against you all season long. And I'm the number one player for points for me all season. I have just barely more points than...
You mean least allowed, right? You mean least allowed, right?
I'm looking at points fielded. For points allowed or points against you, you are the least at 2,290. There's no one within 100 points of you.
No.
I mean, the number one player that has points scored against them right now is Mirith at over 3,000 points. Now, she has the biggest gap between where everyone else is and where she currently sits, while you are 100 under everybody. She's 500 more than everybody else.
Yeah,
which
I see that.
That's crazy. And then if you're looking at points fielded, like the amount of points that we have that you scored yourself, I'm first, Ethan's second, you're fourth, Rose is third. The bottom performer is Shane with under 2,000 points. So like I'm almost breaking 3K, and Shane's not even broken 2,000 yet. So that's that's crazy.
That's because he doesn't care.
Yeah, I know.
CPU has entered the chat. Basically, is
Right?
what it is. Whenever anybody goes against him, it's just CPU has entered the chat.
I won't go into predictions for end of season because it's too early to tell. But just looking at how
All-Star break will be when we start actually
really start digging into that. What I am curious about is like I have played less home games. Everyone in the analog era has played less home games except for Rose. They've played 3 home games. Everyone in the digital era has done more home games than away games, except for Meredith and the kid. They're balanced 2 for 2. So like I'm gonna be really curious to see how the home games and away games start trending the next couple of weeks for everybody, to see how we start playing more and more. Like first month's over. How do you feel about the first month?
Not quite what I expected, but a lot better than what it could have been.
What did you expect?
I expected to not be as invested as I was, as I currently am. Although it's me, which I don't know why I even thought about that. I've played Counter-Strike for over 7,000 hours, and yet I say I'm not going to be invested in this. Like, come on now.
You're invested. You're invested.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that, and then I didn't think people would actually show interest. Like, there's only one that really is not showing interest, and he's only joined to giving it one extra person, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be interested to see how it goes throughout the end of the season, and then start trickling into getting more people next year, getting a bigger like fantasy league, and then hoping, just a thought, we'll keep the analog era, the digital era, and then I'll shift in 8 more teams if we can get if we can get 8 more teams. Hey man,
good luck.
Be ambitious here, right? Double the team sizes, and then have
I'm thinking we're gonna add 2 more.
You think we're gonna add 2 more?
I'm thinking we're gonna add 2 more. Because I really don't think we have no 8 people to join.
Okay, so even if we just add 2 people in, that gives us 10.
Yes. Because Cody said he's gonna join, so we got him. That's a guarantee.
We got him.
1 more person. Yeah.
As long as we can get Shane to stay in, even if he's just a CPU the whole season, it'd be kind of cool to see how his team does every day. Fantasy this week has been incredible. And Fantasy first month has been incredible. So we're going to see how it trails the next 5 months. Yeah, 5 months.
Speaking of him being a CPU, you do know that majority of the people that got put on my team were auto drafted, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm basically getting scraps compared to what everybody has.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm doing better than most people that in points than any other team. Because I don't pay attention to the 2024 predictions.
I do.
I look at how they're doing now.
Look at them pretty good. And I'm contending right now. I'm contending. Yeah. So
until this week when you get the loss.
Hey. None of that.
And I get the win. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I doubt it, but hopefully, fingers crossed.
My money is on me beating Meredith this week, so that I can go 4-1. She goes 1-4, and then I'm hoping. I know that we've both said Ethan's gonna win, but I'm hoping you give Ethan another loss in the column, and that you go from 2-1, or what is it? You would
2-2.
You would go from 2-2 to 3-2, and you would tie his record, and then
more like tie you.
I'm gonna be
so I can overtake
I'm
first place.
I'm gonna be 4-1, sucker. I'm gonna be 4-1.
Right. So you have to realize too that we're in week 5, right?
Yeah, we're in week 5 currently.
So I go against Rose next week, and if you look at that scoreboard of last week, it's gonna be, if you base it off of best performance, I should have that in the bag. Meaning, I am taking first place the week after next.
You don't battle Rose until
week 6.
No, week 8.
Oh, my bad.
Week 8.
I go against. Yeah, okay.
You're
I'm gonna
against.
have to taunt him every single time I have a chance.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not going. He's gonna be irritated with me. I'll be like, hey, I see I'm up by 500 points on you on the week end of the first day, man. What the
500
fuck you
points on day
doing?
one. If you get a 500 point day, I'm gonna just be like, I quit. I quit. I'm done. I'm over.
Yeah, I don't think that's never gonna happen. 500 points on one day, no. Unless you
Ah.
manage to get every single person that would ever score anything.
Your entire roster, all 9 players have to get a home run and a couple RBIs to get to 20 points. It's 180 points. And then you would have to get
Right.
3 pitchers pitching at 60 points apiece to get you that 400 points.
Right.
There's just no way that you're gonna get every person get a home run in one day. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
No,
No.
not at all.
And then watch it happens in 3 weeks and just everything just kind of goes to hell. So
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
right. All right, Cooper. Great first month. Great
Yeah.
last week. Fantasy's kicking butt. Everybody, please stick around with us. Keep tuning in as we roll through these weeks. Like week 5 is going to be the start of May. Everything's going to be, or not the start of May, the end of April. So the end of April is when it really comes down to the wire, when everything starts digging our heels in, and then May is when true baseball starts. I will always say baseball starts in May because that's when the fight begins. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. That is our fantasy recap for week 4. Month 1's over. Let's have an awesome one. Get to you next week.